Hi, I'm Kerry Grinkmeyer. I'm the host of Best of Us in Retirement. I basically look at my life now and say that there's two parts to it. The first part was before my daughter died, and the second part was after she died. That's a memorial to her. She and I rode bicycles, and that was our shirt that we wore in her memory, Warriors Team Shea. Before before she passed away, I was just like anybody and everybody else. I was pursuing my life, and I made some mistakes. I recognize I made some mistakes. The first mistake I would say I made was I did not pursue financial literacy. I did not understand the world that I lived in. I did not understand how some people got wealthy and some people didn't. I just pursued my job. I got a job, and I didn't understand how the world works. I didn't learn how to invest my money. In fact, I didn't invest money. I spent money. That was my pursuit. My pursuit was not to build wealth. My pursuit was to build cash flow. And as I did pursue cash flow, I bought bigger and better things. I bought bigger houses. I bought better cars. We ate at better restaurants. We went on better vacations. And we just did the bigger and better life. I didn't understand that I had a privilege that I could invest in growing companies. I didn't even pay attention as to what companies were growing and how I could go and purchase stock and own part of them, and my fortunes would grow with their fortunes. I didn't pursue that. I was interested in moving up from a Pontiac to a BMW or a Mercedes or a Porsche. That's what I wanted in my life, and I wanted the bigger house so that I could be recognized as successful, even when I wasn't. I wanted to keep up with the Joneses. Those were the mistakes I made in my life. The other thing, I think, the other mistake, two mistakes, were I never asked myself, what is it you really like to do? What is your passion? What is it, if you could do nothing else, what would you like to do? I would have been a creator. I would have been a writer, a painter, a YouTuber. They didn't have YouTube back then. I like to create things. I often say some of the happiest times I used to have was when I would come down into my basement and set up my easel and take a blank canvas and paint on it. And I'd spend hours and hours into the night painting. And it would take me months to finish the painting. But when I was done, I had created something. And when I was satisfied with it, I signed it and said, I'm going to leave this for the rest of the world to judge me because this is what I'm good at. And this is what but that wasn't what I pursued my career. I became a salesman and I pursued sales. After my daughter died, I realized that I could not be happy anymore. I had to change my life. And so I got on a pursuit, and the pursuit ended in this book, a book that I wrote, and the title of it is Find Happiness by Discovering Who You Are and Why You Are You. And that's what I did. I sat down and truly had to determine who I was and why I was the way I was. So I read part one of this book basically takes me through a search of my life to find out who I was and why I was the way I was. My mother died when I was very young, a very important incident in my life. In fact, I found the 10 most important days in my life that formed my character and basically set me on the path that I was going to go. And that's the first part of this book. The second part of the book is about how I changed. I want to read to you the titles from the second part of the book. Discover your you. What's your story? Why are you you? And I go through that. Are you willing to change? If from discovering who you are and then you find your strengths and your weaknesses. Are you willing to change? The third chapter on it is uncertainty breeds opportunity. When you find something that causes you a little squeamish, you are bridging on the space of new discovery, and it brings you opportunity. The third chapter, convert your roommate into your biggest supporter. This is something my yoga teacher taught me, that we all have what I call and what she called an unwanted roommate in our head. This is the person who when you were young, when I was young, when I was in high school and I wanted to ask a girl out, this was the roommate who said, you can't ask her out. Everybody will laugh at you because she's too pretty and you're not smart and you're not a good-looking guy. So don't ask her out. And that roommate has been with me most of my life. It is the naysayer. It is the negative speak that is in my head. And what I come to realize is 90% of the conversations that I have in my life, my day-to-day life, are with that unwanted roommate. That roommate who just says, you're not worthy. You can't do that. There's no way you could become an entrepreneur, or there's no way that you could become a wealthy individual. You don't have the skills. Hell, Carrie, you're dyslexic. You can't read. How could you write a book? Well, you can. You learned that. Build yourself a personal brand. What does that mean? That means this is Carrie. This is who he is. This is what he's good at. This is what he's knowledgeable of. And this is what he's learning on a regular basis. I believe that most of us, I know, I went back and studied it. I didn't read a nonfiction book to educate myself and make me smarter from 1966 to 2015. 2015 was the year after my daughter died. And I said I had to change. I had to discover who I was, and I had to find my passion. And I started reading. And I learned my passion was sharing my knowledge, sharing my passion for making money in the stock market, and learning more about it, learning how the world works and how people make money, and how if you can find a company that is going to change the way the world is going to live, you've just discovered something that can make you very wealthy. The next one, the power of being relentless. You know, this is something that I find very inspiring. Most people will not put up with failure. I watched a piece on Netflix from Bruce Jenner, who is now Caitlyn Jenner, and he explained how when he was running the 1,600 meters in the triathlon, is that what it was? The triathlon? No, decathlon. One of the last sports was the 1,600 meter, and he said I knew I could win it because I knew I could sustain the pain. That's being relentless. That's saying, I don't care what you throw at me. I am going to be the best at this. I'm going to train every day. I'm going to educate myself every day so that I can be the smartest guy in the room. In his case, I can be the fittest guy on the track. That's being relentless. That's that name of that chapter. My plan to achieve my goal. And then in this chapter, what I talk about is how you build the plan to achieve what you want to achieve. And you set the parameters. You literally create a roadmap to where you're going. I use Excel spreadsheets. And I say to myself, if I do this and I get this result, and if I do this and get this result, this is where I'll go. And this is the plan that I'll follow to achieve my goals. Bring order to your outer world by bringing order to your inner world. That's getting rid of that unwanted roommate. Being satisfied with yourself, being committed to a purpose, have a goal, and then what happens on the outside really doesn't matter. You know where you're going, and you can adjust and you can pivot as you find obstacles in your way. And then what's next? Once you have this order in your life, now you can ask yourself, what do I want next? What do I want to achieve next? And how does it fit into my plan? Create a flexible plan. I had my YouTube channel was going crazy. And then as a result of the end of the relief checks, my channel started to go down in numbers. So I pivoted. I changed the direction of my investment channel, and I created this channel. I created a channel because I understand retirement. There's a lot to be learned. There's a lot I can share. So I pivoted, and I changed. And then the last chapter is commit to change. Understand the world isn't going to work exactly like you want it to do, so you have to adapt. And again, I would go back to, you can't adapt as long as you have that unwanted roommate. As long as you have that person in your head saying, you can't do that, that just won't work. You're not smart enough to do that. Well, you may not be, but if you find a book written by somebody who's smarter than you, and you get that knowledge, and you take it in, and you use it to improve your life, you can't be stopped. What I want you to know is if you start reading a book, a nonfiction book, about your passion and what you want to do, every month, you'll be a one percenter. Because ask your friends, when's the last time you read a nonfiction book to educate yourself so that you could be the smartest person in the room? And they'll say, what the hell are you talking about? No, it's not that tough. It really isn't. And that's what I've discovered in my retirement. And that's why this is the best half of my life. It's because I know the world is my cherry, and all I got to do is go and take it. All I got to do is have a passion, pursue that passion, and the rest of it will take care of itself. I didn't know when I started my YouTube channels if I could monetize them, if they could pay me back. Now, as a result of that, I'm able to do anything and everything I want. I'm able to achieve my 3 goals, and that is to make good investment decisions, 2, to keep more of what I make because I also study the American tax code, and 3, to make a difference in the lives of the people who follow me. And I do that in 2 ways. Maybe this video will inspire you to make yourself a more complete person, to pursue your goals and your objectives. And that will be an achievement on my part as well as on your part. And then if I accumulate a substantial amount of wealth, and I set examples, and I write books that my grandchildren and great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren can read, and they can become better people, well, what more could I ask for? So that's why I say this is the best half of my life. My only problem is I'm 77 years old. How much longer is this half going to last? Well, that's why I study biological stocks, biotech stocks, the stocks that are going to take cancer out of my life. My mother died of cancer when I was 8 years old. My daughter died of cancer when she was 40 years old. They both had the same cancer in their bodies, and right now, through genome sequencing and genome therapies, within the next 5 years, they'll take the cancer out of my body, and then something else is going to have to kill me. And it's not going to be my heart, because I run 2 miles 3 days a week. I run in the Senior Olympics. Those are my medals. Those are my track shoes. I'm the fastest 75 to 80-year-old in the state of Alabama. So all I got to do is pursue my passion, be relentless, and share my knowledge and my experiences with good people like you. And my life will be the best second half life that I could ever dream of. Okay, I hope that brings some light into your life, because that's what I want to do.